1, 2, 3, 4.
Alive and well, I'm wide awake. Won't take your brand, I'm not your slave. You serve your God, Lord of the flies. I pity you when you meet mine. Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes. Your bloody mouth unsatisfied. God sees the trap you set for me. He'll not be mocked, I will be free. We will not bend, we will not break. How dare you touch what God gave? We'll never give in, never give up, never back down, never surrender, never surrender. Your fear will not make me behave. I won't march in your masked parade. Your hollow threats won't shut me up. I won't bow down, enough's enough. You say you'll give us what we need, as if you own the air we breathe. Stand up 100 million strong. Thought we'd lie down, well you thought wrong. We will not bend, we will not break. How dare you touch what God gave? We'll never give in, never give up, never back down, never surrender, never surrender. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, just keep going, keep on going. Jesus with me every step. Just keep going, keep on going. Walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Just keep going, keep on going. Jesus closer than my breath. Just keep going, keep on going. Alive and well, I'm wide awake. Won't take your brand, I'm not your slave. You serve your God, Lord of the flies. I pity you and you mean mine. Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes. Your bloody mouth unsatisfied. God sees the trap you set for me. He'll not be mocked, I will be free. We will not bend, we will not break. How dare you touch what God gave? We'll never give in, never give up, never back down, never surrender, never surrender. Your fear will not make me behave. I won't march in your masked parade. Your hollow threats won't shut me up. I won't bow down, enough's enough. You say you'll give us what we need, as if you own the air we breathe. Stand up 100 million strong. Thought we'd lie down, well you thought wrong. We will not bend, we will not break. How dare you touch what God gave? We'll never give in, never give up, never back down, never surrender, never surrender. Oh, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Just keep going, keep on going. Jesus with me every step. Just keep going, keep on going. Walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Just keep going, keep on going. Jesus closer than my breath. Just keep going, keep on going. We will not bend, we will not break. How dare you touch what God gave? We'll never give in, never give up, never back down. We'll never give in, never give up, never back down. We'll never give in, never give up, never back down, never surrender. The valley of the shadow of death. Just keep going, keep on going. Jesus with me every step. Just keep going, keep on going. Walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Just keep going, keep on going.
Hey everybody, welcome to Townhall number 26. It's April 3rd, 2022. Got a lot of updates for you. I'm going to give you a quick summary. We are still only 79 days. I mean, it just keeps counting down until the Republican primary, and we're 219 days until the general election. We do have an update on the existing petition challenges coming from Teresa. She's done a lot of work on that. I think you're really going to want to stick around for that. And Ben's going to be making sure that we all drink from the fire hose. He will be teaching us about federal and state lawmaking processes, otherwise known as how to kill a bill. And then Teresa's also going to cover some legislative expense accounts information for us. I'm going to be learning right along with you, so make sure to stick around. We'll be back in exactly 1 minute.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rebuild Illinois, where we get to talk about how we, the people, take charge and make Illinois a great place to live again.
Well, here we are. It's Sunday again. I'm joined by Teresa Rayborn and the amazing Ben. I don't know what title to always throw in front of your name because there's so many to pick from. I could use retired major or professor or jack of all trades. I don't know which way to go with it all. But let me unmute your mic. Sorry. Here we are. Statesman. Statesman is good. I'll take statesman. How you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Awesome.
Pretty good.
Looking forward to digging in. I was looking at the slideshow that Ben was preparing for us, and it's a big one. So, but before we get to that, Teresa, I think, had some updates on petition challenges coming. Do you want to jump right into that?
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and pull that up from your screen?
Sure thing. Sure thing. I'll run that for you. Here you go.
Okay. Actually, we probably want to zoom it out a bit.
Yeah.
And go over. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So for the governor and lieutenant governor race, there are 5 petition challenges. 4 of them are Republicans.
1 second. Yeah. We have an echo somewhere.
It's actually, I think on your end, Ben. I heard it when I was playing with the mutes earlier. Not a big deal. Do you have headbuds, earphones, or anything? I think he forgot that part. It's okay. It's okay, Ben. We all start out one way or another.
I can work on it.
It's okay. It's okay. So anyway, no problem. We're gonna go right back. I
can hear myself a little bit.
Yeah. I'll just mute his mic until he gets his headphones nailed down.
Let me see if that's better. Let me know when it's muted.
Okay, I'm losing my mouse over and over again. There it is. Is it better? You still have an echo?
Okay, let's see. Yep, I can hear myself.
You still can hear yourself? How about now?
Okay,
is it clean?
Let's try this.
Are we clean?
Let me check. I can still hear myself.
Do you have sound in your room outside of your headphones?
Let's see.
Just checking.
Nope.
This is me talking. Notice we're doing our sound checks while we go over the petition challenge up. That's all right.
You want to check my computer?
Probably not mid-show. I think we're just going to have to live with it to a certain extent.
Okay, you want to go ahead and pull up?
Ben, you sound any different to the rest of the world?
You want me to talk?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I hear you fine.
I hear you fine.
Okay.
So, all right, good. I'm gonna go ahead and throw you into your presentation then. Here, hold on. Here we go.
Okay. So we have the governor and lieutenant governor's race. No, go back up.
Back out. Oh, here.
Yeah. So, nope. You had it right just a moment
You want to show everything at once.
Yeah, let's show both at once right now. Okay,
all right,
that's good. So we've got governor and lieutenant governor. There's 5 petition challenges, 4 for Republicans and 1 for a Democrat. We're not going to go through the people, the Democrats that are being challenged. But if you look over to your left-hand side, there's the list of the candidates who have petition challenges. So for governor and lieutenant governor, that would be Johnson Malin ticket, the Solomon Fields ticket.
Yep.
So those. And then Keisha Smith doesn't have a running mate, but is being challenged. And then the Sullivan Murphy ticket. Now,
Right.
for Attorney General, we don't have any challenges. For Secretary of State, there is 2 challenges, 1 Republican, 1 Democrat, and that is Turney,
Okay.
Michelle Turney. And then for Comptroller, there's only 1 challenge. It's a Republican, and that's Michael Kinney. And then for Treasurer, only 1 challenge, and that's a Republican. So that's Patrice McDermott. Oh, I can't see that. Okay. And then we move into the federal races for Senate. Out of all the Senate candidates that we have, I think there's like
We only had 1 challenge?
1 challenge. And so that was Marianne Malin, which I'm wondering if she is related to Brett Malin from
Right.
the lieutenant governor, one of the candidates for lieutenant governor. And then for the House, I even have it down by district. We have 33 petition challenges. 11 of them are Republican, 22 are Democrat.
Right here,
However,
yeah.
if you want to move over that screen a little bit, because there's actually been 3 people who have withdrawn. 1 was a Republican and 2 were Democrats. So if you want to kind of highlight that right above,
Here?
no, where it says U.S. House, right
Okay.
there where it says 312.
Yep.
Which odd, I just realized that we have 33, 11, 22. And then they're all double numbers. You take 1 out, and that's how many is withdrawn.
That's how you
So
know it's real. I think it's like my daughter's rule. It's only true if it rhymes.
You're right.
So,
if we go over and see who those candidates are.
yep.
So for the 1st district, remember in the 1st district, that is a race to really watch. I'm really excited about that one because there's 5 Republicans running and 20 Democrats.
Wow.
So, and we have 4 of the Republicans are being challenged and 10 of the Democrats are being challenged. So there's a lot of challenges going on in that race. So we have no idea how the ballot's going to actually look for the primary until those petition challenges are adjudicated. So we have Eric Carlson, Matthew O'Keefe, Gino Young, and Jeffrey T. Ringy that are all Rayner.
Yeah, I think it's Rayner.
Sorry, I knew someone
No, it's okay.
referred to it as Ringy, and that was their last name. Anyways,
Okay.
and then in the 5th district we have Kimball Layden, and in the 9th district John Ellison, and then in the 11th there was one Johnny Ramos, but he has withdrawn. And then in the 14th district, remember that's another one that's hotly contested. A lot of candidates there, but 4 of the Republicans are being challenged. So Grider, Coolidge, Starrett, and Lombardi.
That's a lot
Yeah.
going on right there.
Now, if we want to go back to the other list,
Sure.
can you make that part bigger and me smaller?
I can. I can
There
put
we
it right
go.
like that.
Yeah, there you go.
Let me
So if you-
let me go over here like this.
There we go. And then we're down to Illinois Senate. So there were 18. So this is the state legislative district. So we have 18 petition challenges. 5 of those were Republican, 13 were Democrat. And there was 1 withdrawal, but that was a Democrat.
Okay.
So if we go over to look at who those 5 candidates were. Wait, you went up too far. Oh, wait. Yeah, I'm sorry. You were right. So that was in the 6th district, Nicole Drury. And then the 19th district, Patrick Sheehan. 28th district, Anthony Beckman.
Beckman.
Ugh,
Yep.
Can't even speak today. And then in the 43rd, Diane Harris. And then in the 48th, William Eddington.
Yep.
So those, and then go back over to the Illinois House. We had, again, 33 petition challenges. This time, 14 of them are Republican, 19 Democrats, 2 withdrawals, but those were Democrats. And then there was 1 removed, and that was a Republican. So I'm not totally sure what the removed was. It sounds like it wasn't something where he voluntarily withdrew.
Right.
So if we want to go over to that list of who those candidates were, that is Gaji?
Gaji? I'm not sure how that's pronounced. Montel Gaji?
Yeah. And that's in the 5th district. Then in the 12th, there's a typo there. George Kemper.
Okay.
And then in the 13th district,
that's our
Eden Gonzalez, and that was the one that was removed. The 17th district, Martin. I'm just going to say the last name, Martin. 34th district, Harms. 37th, Deucer. 38th, Tulis. 56th, Olson. 87th, Alexander. And again in the 87th, Burris, Mary Burris. And then 93rd, Weaver. 95th, Butler. 97th, Smith. And 116th, Carter.
Wow.
Woo. So then that brings us down to the judges for actually there were no petition challenges for the regional superintendent of schools, which is good because
That's
remember what we said before.
Yes.
A lot of those were Republicans.
Right.
So we're doing great on that. Now, as far as the judges for the Supreme Court, there were 4 challenges, 2 of them Republican, 2 Democrat. And then for the appellate court, 3 challenges, 1 Republican, 2 Democrat. So if we want to go over and take a look at those. For the Supreme Court, it was Mark Curran and Susan Hutchinson. And then for the appellate court, it was Mike McCaney.
Okay.
And
Great.
then go back over to that thing. Yes, there were petition challenges for the Cook County Circuit Court. But remember, we had no Republicans.
We don't have a lot of good numbers in this.
So even though there were
circuit court anyway.
Well, that's Cook. That's just Cook County.
Right. Let me unmute you. Ben was trying to say something. I had him. Oh, I think he's got himself muted. You have to unmute yourself, Ben.
So for the Cook County Circuit Court, they had 18 challenges out of all those people. And of course, they were all Democrats because we didn't have a Republican in there. And then for the circuit courts in the rest of the state, there was only 1 petition challenge, and that was a Democrat. So that's not on our list, obviously.
So that's the status pre-ballot as it stands right now. And what we learned earlier, I asked the question, we didn't have the answer earlier today. We were just like, well, at what point does this all get resolved? And what was the magical date?
Oh, go back to Miro. Well,
yeah, I think I got it pulled up right here. Here we go. That magical
April
date.
21st.
Yep, this is right off the site.
There we go. Yeah, right off the site for the Illinois State Board of Elections. And the reason why this date is so ahead of the primary is because this is the date for them to withdraw. And it's also the date where the State Board of Elections certifies the ballot. And they pass that information then on to all of the election boards so they can start printing their ballots.
Right.
Because that takes time.
Well, and then we have a show coming up, I think, 2 days after that? So that'll be the day that we basically talk about what's on the ballot. 3 days after that. So that'll be the ballot show.
Yeah.
We don't know who's going to be on the ballot. Everything is still kind of in flux up until that date. So, but that is the magical date that we're waiting to see who we have to actually interview. All the interviews that we're in the process of scheduling and figure out will all be basically whittled down by that. We're trying to make sure to interview those that don't have challenges for starters, because we don't have the chance of possibly having that person not on the ballot anymore, so.
Yeah, the ones that have not been challenged, we know definitively they're going to be on the ballot. Unless something really crazy happens between now and the 21st, like they pass away or they decide to withdraw on their own.
Right.
Which is unlikely. If someone's going to go through all the trouble of going and getting all those signatures, they're not going to turn around and go, well, I'm just going to bow out.
Right. So,
I mean, Ben knows. Ben and I both know what it's like to be out there in the cold and the heat.
Yeah, it's an investment too. I mean,
yeah, it's hard.
So, well, that's good to know. We'll be probably watching that like a hawk to make sure that if there's any changes that we keep you guys up to date, at least in our Telegram chat. Any comments on that, Ben, at all? Do you have any insights to this election system?
Well, no, but there could be some reasons why somebody would withdraw from an election. One of them is if the dirt comes up on them between.
Sure.
Or something happens with their family. There could be reasons why somebody would. It's atypical, but it can happen.
Right.
And
right.
Also, like you said, if dirt comes up. But remember also, and please, everyone understand this, just because you hear dirt doesn't mean it's true. And
That's
just
right.
because someone bows out because there's, someone's coming up or putting out stuff, that doesn't mean that it's true either. Sometimes people are just like, you know what, I'm done.
Right.
Because they don't realize just how dirty politics can be until they're in it. And they may not have the funds to fight against the dirt coming at them. So they may just bow out
say, you know what,
it's
not worth it. Yeah.
This isn't my thing. Thought it was, but changing my mind.
Let's not encourage anyone to do that.
No.
At this stage.
No. But remember, don't give in to the rumors. Don't believe everything you see and hear. As a matter of fact, my father's advice for me when I was growing up was believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see.
Okay, so remember, 79 days till the Republican primary. Is that
right?
I think that's still accurate. Did I get that copied right? I think I did.
You're the one keeping track of it.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to keep all this stuff
guy.
up. I did spend like a ridiculous amount of time calculating this earlier on in the year.
Yeah. So, also, I'd like to say, just on the dirt side, just understand that if you're in politics, dirt is going to come at you, whether or not it comes from...
Could come from your own side, as we've learned.
Yeah. But often it doesn't. I was attacked by Planned Parenthood because I didn't fill out their survey. And they spent thousands of dollars against me, attacking me. I thought it was pretty interesting. Yeah, and crazy. So just... it just comes with the game.
So let me get this straight, Ben. So you're saying that Planned Parenthood came after you because you were so evil and horrible for not filling out a questionnaire while they are killing babies.
Exactly.
It's rough. It's a rough world.
They assumed I was 100% pro-life, which, yeah, I am. But, they just... Point being, just expect dirt if you're going to run, okay? And
right.
The unwritten rule is you don't go after the family, and other than that, though...
That's kind of, the past couple of years of politics has kind of changed all of those rules, too. Family's been
thrown out.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So we're also 219 from the general, but... These 60 days, man, that's 2 months. That's not a lot of time to get all this figured out in this primary. And we are currently in the process of making plans to make sure that our primary has some events preceding it. And hopefully we even have a watch party, things like that. They're in the works. We're in the process of figuring out all the ins and outs of that. But I'm going to let Ben take up the next spot. Teresa, thank you so much for your update. All your hard work does not go unappreciated. We are thrilled to have the numbers master.
Well, thank you. And actually, you kind of started giving a little hints on possibly something. Remember when those events are announced?
Oh yeah.
That you can come out and meet Ben and Christian and me, and we're very approachable people.
And the rest
have conversations.
of your what was your descriptor, Ben? Your was it countryman? What was your title?
No, it's a major professor of political science, statesman.
Statesman! Meet the rest of your Illinois statesmen, I think is what we really want to see. We want a meeting of statesmen.
I don't like the word politician anymore.
I'm with you. Yeah, it's been kind of tainted at this point.
I preferred citizen legislator when I was running.
It's nice. All right, so on to our B block. I want to kind of introduce this. We were going to do a graphic. I said we were going to use this whole Uma Thurman yellow and black, but I put the yellow and black behind me on our Gadsden instead. But we want to talk about how to kill a bill. That was the Uma Thurman thing, and then we were trying to. I don't know. I don't have time to do the mashups that I would like to do. But this one's all on you, Ben.
Okay.
What
go
are you
ahead
going
and
to
bring
tell
it
us
up.
about?
Go ahead and bring it up. We're going to talk about how bills are actually passed through the legislature, and just stand by, because as you see there, just do a little bit of warning, you're going to be drinking from the fire hose. So let's get started, shall we?
Let's do
Okay,
it.
just understand, we're talking about how it passes through the legislature, and there are actually a couple different ways. So we're going to talk about simultaneous, and then subsequent is not the word I'm looking for, but we'll go from there. So just to start with the simultaneous, though, when bills are introduced, they're given a number in either the House or the Senate, and that's called being engrossed. Okay, in the House only, there's something called the Rules Committee, and the Rules Committee then decides how a bill is going to be handled. And it's going to do this twice, once when it's going out to the committees, and then once again right before the debates. Okay, but the Rules Committee is important because they decide how a bill will be handled. Next, it is scheduled on what's called the calendar. And this is important because any chairman, in this case, the Speaker of the House, the Senate Majority Leader, or the any of the committee chairs, they are the keepers of what are referred to as a calendar for their different agencies. And nothing happens that isn't on that calendar. So if they personally want to kill a bill, they just don't have to put it on the calendar, and it's effectively dead. And so already you're seeing why we labeled this how to kill a bill. You want to kill a bill on, a nasty bill that's against the Second Amendment. We'll talk to the committee chairman that's in charge of that committee and get him to keep it off of the calendar, and it's dead. See, that's much easier than trying to talk to everybody that's in the House or the Senate to get them to vote against it. You just talk to one and kill it. Okay. Basically, though, the bill then goes, as you see here, through the floor. That is the committee of the whole. Anytime you hear that, the committee of the whole always refers to everyone in the House or the Senate, depending on which side of the, that it's on. And then it will go on to the assigned committees from there. Yes, it has to pass through the floor to get to the committees. Sequential, that's the other one. So from here, we'll talk about these two separate methods separately. First simultaneous, and then sequential. Okay. So that's out of sync, but okay. So simultaneous assignment. As you see here,
It's okay if it's out of sync, bro. You're doing good.
Sorry, we made some last minute changes and
in
the right order. So
it's all right, bro.
In a simultaneous assignment, it means that they're assigned to multiple committees at the same time. For ease of just showing this, I only included 2 committees, but it could be 5, it could be 10. And usually that happens with like a spending bill, where each committee is going to be responsible for a certain section of the bill itself. And they can't make any changes outside of that. Okay. Usually they're going to send it to a subcommittee or multiple subcommittees, and they're going to follow the same process as we're talking about. So the subcommittee then has the bill, and they have to make recommendations, or they have to make changes and a recommendation on passing or killing the bill. And there's a vote, by the way, at each of these stages. If I go back here to the subcommittee, if the subcommittee doesn't pass the bill, it's dead. Okay, but let's say the subcommittee approves the bill and it goes back to the main committee. The main committee can then kill the bill before it even hits the floor for debate. The committee can kill it. So now it's back at the main committee. They're going to pass it back to the floor or the committee of the whole. After this, once it reaches the floor, it's going to go back to be scheduled in the calendar according to which side of that it's on. But understand, as you see here, most bills will die in subcommittee. They never make it to the whole committee again or back to the floor. Thousands of bills each year, whether we're talking federal or state, thousands of bills are put out there every year, and they don't go anywhere. They just die in a vine, if you will. Okay, so keep going. Consecutive assignment is, or sequential, excuse me, it should say sequential, is one where it's passed from committee one. It's going to go through the same process from the main committee to a subcommittee. And if the subcommittee passes it, it has to go back to the main committee again. After that, then the main committee is going to, if they approve it, they're going to send it on to committee 2.
Interesting.
And their committee 2 is going to follow the same process. Subcommittees, assuming it makes it out of the subcommittees in committee 2, it will go on to the main committee. And this is, however many committees it's assigned to, then it will continue to go on, just like like we were talking before about bills that go through simultaneous committee assignments. In this case, if there are 5 committees, it has to follow this process for all 5 committees. But once it makes it out of the final committee, then it goes to the floor, again, the committee of the whole, for debate. Understand that in the Senate, a senator can put a hold on a bill, and this is about where they do it. And a senator can actually then kind of kill a bill. It really depends on how the Senate leadership and whether they can pressure that senator to release the hold on the bill, or if they call the question to pull the bill forward, which doesn't happen a lot, but it can happen.
Yeah, I was just going to ask how often you think that's happened since you've been watching this stuff. Have you seen that very often?
Yeah, I can't say, but I know it happens. I can't say for sure.
Okay.
But it does happen at least once a legislative session. You can be sure of that.
Okay. So it's not uncommon. Yeah, no, I'm a little confused.
Yeah.
I'm still with you.
You confused yet? This guy is.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah, okay, so moving on. If you're confused yet, just wait. It gets worse.
It gets worse. I knew it was coming. Such a guy joke.
Okay, so once it's passed all, of course, like we said, it goes back to the floor. Now, in the House only, the bill has to go back to the Rules Committee for scheduling of the debate and the voting. And the rules for the debate are going to be set by the House in this point. The Senate doesn't do this. They don't set rules for the debate. That's why the filibuster exists. Essentially, a filibuster is when a senator gets up and starts speaking, and they can keep going however long they want. And if they have accomplices, if you will, or partners in that filibuster, they can yield the floor to the next person to keep that filibuster alive until enough people agree that either to vote on cloture to kill the filibuster and bring the bill to vote, or they agree just to let the bill die. So that's what a filibuster is, and that's kind of what happens on the Senate side. But on the House side, because it's majority rule, they set rules for how long the debate can go. They set proponents and opponents for it, and each of those sides get so many minutes that they can decide how to use it as they see. And
I think that's what I recently saw in the federal Senate, in the U.S. Senate, when we saw recently Rand Paul arguing for his time. Mm-hmm. It's like you don't recognize that. I guess that doesn't happen on the other side. It's interesting to kind of see these things play out. Sorry, it just popped in my mind to have a recent example where he's begging for his 5 minutes.
Right. Well, that's in committee, and so that's not on the floor, but that's in committee.
Okay.
Okay.
And
On the
may I-
floor,
Teresa
the
has
floor
it in.
debate is different than committee.
Okay. Go ahead. What's your question, Teresa?
And just an FYI, the longest filibuster in U.S. history was U.S. Senator Strom Thurmond from South Carolina, who spoke for 24 hours and 18 minutes.
What?
Against the Civil Rights Act of 1964, by the way.
Yes.
Wow.
And
They
he
must
was
have sticks holding them up. I'm gonna have to
he
look
was
that
a
one
Democrat.
I wonder,
He was
did
a
he wear a
Democrat.
diaper?
I don't know. No, I know one of the longer ones, not the longest, obviously, but one of the longer ones. I think Nancy Pelosi did, and she was in heels. So that is actually torture. That's
Oh my God.
self-inflicted torture to do that. I would not have done it in heels. I would have had my sneakers on, but
Right.
I'm also
Well-
not the type of person to monopolize that much time.
How dare I interrupt the flow of the fire hose? I want
Sorry.
to let you get back at it, but yeah, these are good interjections. I don't have
Yep.
this history that
No
you guys
problem.
have, so I have to be.
No problem.
Am I still the youngest? Please. No.
No,
I'm not.
you're the second.
Damn it.
I'm the youngest.
Okay, and you still know.
Okay. Moving on.
Moving on.
Okay, so after the Rules Committee is done with it, and this is where both sides get back on track again, is they have to assign it to a calendar to go through the debate and the voting. And again, this is where the majority leader in each chamber can control a bill. So, once it reaches the floor, it's gained some support. So it's harder for a majority leader at this point to kill a bill. But again, if they really don't want to deal with it, they just don't put it on the calendar and it's dead. Last chance for them to do that. You have debate, and again, a debate on the House side is timed. On the Senate side, not so much. No, it's pretty much unlimited. And a vote. Okay, we finally get to the final vote, up or down. We made it, right? Well,
Maybe.
not quite, because once it passes and makes it off of the floor, there we go. It's got to go to the other chamber for the same process that it went through before. So if it was in the Senate that this bill originated and passed, it's now going to go through the House and vice versa. And we'll just cut it short and say, they went through the whole process. They voted. And then, depending on how that vote turns out, several things can happen. Okay, three different possibilities. If the bills that are passed by each house don't look exactly the same, they have to go through one of these processes. Okay, one, they can go to conference committee, where in the conference committee is a joint committee by both the House and the Senate that's made up to iron out the differences in the two bills that are passed by the House and the Senate. Once that's done, the only thing that can be done after this is for each chamber to give an up or down vote to pass that bill. If it doesn't pass, it has to go back, so both chambers vote. So if it doesn't pass, it goes back to conference committee, and they have to iron out whatever differences remain, whatever concerns, to get it to pass. So this is a loop that could go on several times.
Is there a limit to how many times that happens?
No.
Oh my gosh.
This often happens with a spending bill more than anything else.
Okay.
And other bills, not so much, unless it's an important bill. If the second chamber made changes to the bill, the next route is it can go back to the originating chamber to either approve the changes, make more changes, or just kill the bill. Okay. So that is the second method. The third one is if there's no changes, then we get a bill then that goes on. It's enrolled. And it goes to either the governor or the president for signature or veto. And we think that's all right. But wait, there's more. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Okay, so understand that there are some more things to know. Bills are usually, we're going to talk about the amendment tree, because when they go to these committees and subcommittees, they amend these bills to, I guess, more fit what they're trying to do, or make them acceptable to the lawmakers other than the originator. So they're going to be amended, but there are limits that are placed on the amendments, and that's what we're seeing. When they're sent in, with a limit to both the primary and secondary amendments, and I'll explain that in a minute. In the House side, it's the Rules Committee that decides that. On the Senate side, it is the Committee of the Whole that's going to determine the number of amendments that are allowed on any bill.
Wow.
Okay, so the bill is introduced, and so if we look at this visually here, think of a tree, that trunk of a tree there that you see, that's the original bill as submitted.
Okay.
Okay.
Do have a question coming from Tammy, if you want me to field that for you real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
Tammy was asking, how many votes do you have to pass a bill?
However many it takes.
Well, it depends on where it's at, too. So, and that's the thing why we're saying here. And just understand that it's easier to kill a bill in a committee or a subcommittee than it is to kill it out on the floor, because you have fewer people. If the membership of a subcommittee is only 11 people, well, you need 6 votes to kill that bill at that point, or pass it, either way. So a majority vote gets it passed on to the next level.
Awesome.
And so you start to see why it's important that you understand how these bills go through, and the committee assignments, the subcommittee assignments, etc., is your best chance at addressing this bill, or making sure that it actually survives committee to get out onto the floor.
Another quick statement or question from me for you.
Yeah, sure.
This is also where we have the opportunity to call our representatives and influence which way they vote, too. I mean, this is where we interact and the rubber meets the road, right?
Right.
Yeah, this is the most critical time, but it's not the only time.
Okay.
Well, and also as you're watching Ben go through this whole process, think of all the things that the legislators, the senators and the representatives are having to do behind the scenes to get these people on the committee to vote in favor of their bill.
Right.
To get it out of committee and onto the floor. They're having to horse trade. They're having to make deals that they may not always agree with 100%.
That's called log rolling, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So,
well,
it's
you vote for my bill, I'll vote for yours.
Right.
Exactly. So
well, I'm gonna let you back at it, man.
When you get mad at your representatives, it's because they voted a certain way on something. It's probably because they're voting that way as a favor because that person did a favor for them.
Well, and on top of that, this is also when we see things like that you can interact on. This is where we try and make sure that you're informed in our Telegram groups and in other communications on our website and stuff. We want to make sure that you know when the prime time to interact on those types of bills are as well. So, anyway, back to you,
Sorry,
Ben.
Okay. So I'm backing up a little bit here. We're talking about the original bill, right? Oops,
sure.
Sorry, wrong button. So the first thing to know is there are primary amendments assigned to it, and the number is based on what we talked about, the rules assigned to the bill for the committees. And as an example, it can have 3 primary, like you see here. It can have 2. It can have 5. Understand that a primary amendment can actually replace the entire original bill.
Wow.
Okay, from the title on down, it can replace all of it. Word for word, replace everything that's on there. So the primary amendments are very powerful and highly controlled because of that. But that's how they work. Now, secondary amendments, there you go. putting the twigs on the branches, if you will.
Right.
The
It's like a sentence
secondary,
diagram.
the secondary amendments can only affect the primary amendment on which they are attached. So you'd have an amendment, like the Second Amendment to the Second Amendment.
So they kind of define those amendments. They kind of keep them in specs
Right.
to a certain degree.
Right. And it can, again, they can change a word, or they can change the whole wording of that primary amendment. It just depends on what happens in committee and subcommittee at this point.
Right.
And again, it's these, by the way, can be assigned out to various committees. Like we talked about, if the bill goes to multiple committees, they may allow one primary and 4 secondary amendments per committee or something like that.
Wow.
So that's something that happens, and it's what the ultimate aim is to fill the amendment tree, this thing that you're looking at, fill it before it hits the floor, so there can be no more amendments added to the bill once it hits the floor. Because if the amendment tree is not filled, that can still happen on the floor of either the House or the Senate. And that's an important distinction there to understand, is what they're trying to do then is, control the language of the bill and what the final look and feel of that bill is going to be.
Sure.
If you
Okay.
if you thought
Yeah.
editing a school paper, one of your essays for high school or college was difficult,
They might have us beat, dude. Yeah.
they definitely have us beat on this.
It's definitely the Billy May slogan that Emily threw up there.
You
But wait, there's
But
more.
wait, there's more.
You have to edit that more. You thought it was perfect? No, it's not done yet. You have 10 more edits to do.
Right.
So if you remember when we were talking about a bill going to the committees and the subcommittees, this is where all this is happening, typically. Okay. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about types of legislation. Bills are the normal one we think about. A bill to control, ammunition sales or something. Okay, that's going to have what you see, the designators there that you see. That's HR for House of Representatives, or Senate for a Senate bill. Okay, resolutions are almost always not binding unless they are to control, if you will, something outside of the House of Representatives or the Senate. But we'll get to those in a second. Okay, a joint resolution really is the one that does that. And a joint resolution is binding, but it's usually assigned against the executive branch. And if you see some examples down there at the bottom, where like continuing resolutions of spending, declarations of war would be a joint resolution, and temporary changes to existing law, temporary commissions, terminating national emergencies, or withdrawing use of force. All those are against the executive branch, really, or instructing the executive branch for their execution. And again, they have to be identical, assigned by both houses going forward. And you see they'll have the designator HJ Res for House Joint Resolution, or SJ Res for Senate Joint Resolution, depending on where they go from. Let me come back here. Sometimes we get those resolutions you see here on this one. Resolutions sometime is just, yes, there can be resolutions that assign rules to the House or the Senate. Other times it can be, a resolution concerning, how the House or the Senate feels about an issue. A resolution condemning the actions of putting something,
I'm trying to help you. I don't know where to help you with that.
Yeah. So they can condemn something, make a public condemnation, or they can do public commendations too.
Okay.
which they would use resolutions to do, like say maybe to commend this year's high school academic scholars. Or
Right,
something.
right, right. It's basically
spelling
an
bee
honorary
camp.
thing of some sort. Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
they may condemn things. I think one of the ones that I remember was in 2017 with the Steve Scalise shooting on the baseball field. They all came together for that and condemned political violence.
Right.
There you go.
At least in 2017.
Adam Kinzinger. Maybe they'll do one on the Adam Kinzinger.
Right.
Nice.
No, they'll probably commend them considering it's controlled by who it is. So we talked
And
about
it kind of
joint
comes off as a
resolutions.
shame, don't do that.
Right.
Exactly. Essentially, that's what it is. It's okay. So you passed this public resolution against me. So what? But understand that's what it is. So it's a statement.
It's a matter of
written
historical record. Is too.
Yeah.
That's another plus. So that you can like refer to it later. Like, look, in the past, this was not a good thing, or this was a great thing, or whatever.
Concurrent resolutions are another way to do that. As you see there, of a method of expressing an opinion on some question. But again, it's not going to be binding in any way. But it is what it is. And you see there, it says, the designators HCon res or SCon res.
At the bottom.
And so when you see them, you know what those are and what. But concurrent resolutions and resolutions can do the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, we talked a little bit already about the conference committee, but understand that just a little bit more on that. The conference committee is it's an ad hoc committee that's built for each bill, and it almost always includes the primary sponsor of the bill, and then it includes people who are appointed from both chambers, i.e. the House and the Senate, to be on this bill to work out the differences. Of course, it works like any other committee. They need a quorum to do any work, and then they'll need
And a quorum is the number of people. Most people don't know all those big words on Robert's rules, but yeah, they have to have a minimum number of people present in order to do anything.
Right, and then a quorum also to vote for passage, etc.
So that way you don't have one guy showing up and saying, well, we did this while no one else was here.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, spending bills are also a special circumstance because they're actually started by the executive branch and introduced by a congressperson or a senator. They can be introduced on either side of Congress or the General Assembly. Usually they do originate in the House, though. And the way it works is each agency of the executive branch compiles a proposed budget for the coming fiscal year, usually 2 years out. Okay, and the one for the federal budget is then compiled by the Office of Management and Budget into a single bill that goes before Congress. And something similar happens on the Illinois side as well. So there's this proposed bill, and that's all it is at this point, is a proposed bill. It's not even a bill that goes then into the General Assembly or onto Congress. By the way, they don't have to take up, the legislative body does not have to take up that bill and run with it or that proposal. They can come up entirely with their own and work with it instead. And that sometimes happens, but not always. Because, honestly, there's a lot of work that goes into it. Okay. And this is one time where they'll go for simultaneous or concurrent treatment. We were talking about them going out to multiple committees at the same time.
Right.
And each one is going to review their specific portion of the bill. For example,
it's like I want to illustrate this whole process out for you so that we could go over it. It's like this is what I was saying. Anytime I get to go through any of your courses the first time, I have all these visuals happening in my head, so we have to convene afterwards and have our own special circumstances meeting.
Well, just keep in mind they got to be timely.
You
Okay,
got
so
it.
keep that within there. Now it's understand, So we talk about how they go. Usually they're resolved in a conference committee before a final vote. They almost always are. And the last thing, there are two types of budgets. There's a baseline budget and there's a zero-based budget. The one that you see legislative bodies work with is always a baseline budget. And that budget assumes an increase in spending each year, maybe by the amount of inflation or by some percentage point, they assume this increase. So anytime that they're talking about maintaining the baseline and not spending, keeping spending to the baseline,
That doesn't do anything. That's not saying much.
Yeah,
Still increasing it.
Right.
There's still an increase. Okay. The other method of doing a budget is what's called a zero-based budget. And a zero-based budget requires each agency to justify any spending for the upcoming budgets.
So now you know what to demand of your legislatures. You hear
Zero-based
baseline
budget.
That's right. That's right. And the thing is if we don't know this, you don't even know to raise your voice. So
Or you don't know what
Now,
words to
agencies-
use, what the terminologies are.
I would tell you, agencies don't like zero-based budgeting because it's harder. And
Well, duh.
there's fear behind
the libertarian in me is a little riled up in that.
Yeah. See, the fear behind it is if I give up some spending this year, I won't be able to get it back in future years when I need it.
Ideal.
And that is, having served for 20 years in our nation's government, I can tell you that is a pervasive fear in every agency, is that, hey, if you don't justify your spending by, and you wonder why they go on these spending sprees. Right. They're trying to spend all the money given to them by Congress, so they
have an excuse for having it the following year.
Yeah, exactly, because they may need it and they don't want to lose it. Right. And so that's what happens often. Now,
I've seen that at the corporate level where they've said
like
you need to spend all of this on your updates that you're doing on this year's at this moment in the budget, so that and it's like no, go crazy. And it's because they're trying to maintain their budget number. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so exactly. That's what they're doing. And so a zero-based budget, by the way, is used somewhat in the Department of Defense. So I shouldn't say that. But the way it ends up doing is not that we remove any spending necessarily, but we have to direct each activity back to its assigned spending line
category
in the congressional budget. Okay.
Sure.
And so that's how it works. So you're justifying each expense based on your activities, and it's not really hard in the DoD to do that. So we're like, yeah, whatever, we'll do it. But that is a big concern, though. Is again, zero-based budgeting is you have to justify each and every dollar you spend, which, let's face it, legislatures, especially in the Illinois legislature, would find that kind of taxing because they like to spend their money on frivolous stuff to help win them votes during the next.
Right. They got a lot of promises to keep.
Frivolous Illinois? Oh, are you
Oh
sure?
no!
Now I would
so-
bet that the different parties that both parties actually support baseline and zero-based, but for their preferred thing, they want baselines, and for the stuff like a lot of times Democrats don't really want to spend a lot of money on the military, so they probably want the zero-based for the military, but they want baseline for other things. Whereas with Republicans, it may be the opposite.
The distinction of those two is very critical, Ben. I appreciate having that outline. I've never heard that before. So I'm going to let you roll forward.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm sure. I don't know how much water is left in the fire hose.
Well, I tell you what, I know that came at you very fast, and that's a lot of information that people are saying, how was I supposed to absorb that? And I know it caused you
That's
a lot of
what pause
stress.
is for. You can watch this in
So
segments.
the cute kitten is there to help you recover after that.
Aww. That works for everyone. We'll all take that.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
So, folks, that's it.
That was it.
Yeah, that was it. And
I was prepping for like part 2.
Oh no.
So
We have plenty of time for that. It's just, I know it's a lot of information very fast, and people may have questions about it, but they may not, they may not know yet what those questions are. They may think of them later. I would say, by the way, any presentation you ever see me present here, I'm willing to present anywhere.
Sure.
So if that happens, hey.
And we can take that and put that on the website as well.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I have one more thing to add to Ben's presentation.
Oh, go for it.
One little thing that I think might be missing there towards the end. After
Another
all
cute
that
thing?
drama. No. After all that drama, all of that wrangling to get these bills just right, to get them to the floor and passed for a vote and all that stuff. Remember, every member of the House serves for 2-year terms, and that is considered a Congress.
Right.
At the end of that 2-year term, when they recess at the end of their term, like right around Christmas, New Year's, when they're ending, all those bills that are somewhere in that process, even if they're like 99% there, they die. They're done.
Yeah. So
they expire. So
Now,
you can go through all that process and nothing happens. The only way it doesn't is if it has already been sent, voted on and sent to the president for signature. But if it has not been sent to the president yet, they all die. And then they have to be reintroduced to the next Congress.
Poor Bill.
But with that, though, is then they can also, say it doesn't get past the committee this year, maybe next year there's a change, and it does. So don't assume that just because the bill was killed this time that it's going to stay dead, because there's always next year. You got to keep that in mind and always stay vigilant. And we're going to talk here in the near future. I'm going to show you how you can look up bills, how you can contact your representative or senator, or the committee chairs, for example, and also how to submit a witness slip. So that's coming in the near future. I'm going to build that out and present it here on Rebuild Illinois.
Awesome.
Great.
Well,
Thank you, Ben, for teaching everyone all about the
poor Bill.
poor Bill. He gets beat up a lot.
So,
Yeah,
He
he
gets
was
beat up a lot.
supposed to get beat up by Uma Thurman, but
we're working on making. Oh, that's just about as bad. That could
yeah,
work
there
as
you
well.
go.
So I appreciate it. We will do what we can to make sure that slideshow is available to everybody as well later on. And I think we move on to our next segment here. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering, I thought there was another slide in the presentation that I saw, but maybe that's holding off for a part 2?
Yeah, I pulled a couple slides just for trying to keep it focused.
Okay.
I do want to ask a quick question. Okay, I was watching this earlier, hoping to pull video from this. Admit it. This looks like Ben. Not right here. No. Is that not Ben?
Yeah.
I think that's Ben.
Gee, thanks.
So, I just want you to know that you have a future, and it's already been pre-programmed in people's consciousness. So
There you go.
there's
And this is
Ben.
what we grew up.
In a cartoon Congress.
Yeah, that's you.
This is
All
really
right.
sad because we grew up with this stuff and it's not being taught. It was taught in a very funny, cute way.
I have the 2-disc video set of
I do too.
Schoolhouse
I do too. I have it all on my
I need a
server.
copy.
Rock.
Don't worry, I have it on the server for you, Teresa. That is going back up next week. So,
I love Schoolhouse Rocks. There's no agenda in it other than education. So
it's fantastic.
It's wonderful. It's not political in any way.
Well, it
shape, or
wasn't.
form. So,
It wasn't just education. I think there's a lot of attempts to educate today, but they all get dogpiled with, well, how much can I sideline into that education and like add on to it? I mean, we watched education series just recently, and It's all of the other agendas that were being slid in
That's
the
what
back
happened
door.
to Common Core.
Yeah, yeah.
Common Core was actually a good idea until they started adding all these third-party initiatives to it, climate change, et cetera, that they added in and really killed Common Core and destroyed it from what it should have been.
I couldn't agree more.
And see, a lot of that stuff, I don't have a problem with them saying, hey, here's a theory, here's an opinion, but they don't. Like, they say, this is settled, this is the way it is. And
science is settled.
Science
Trust
is never
the science.
settled. The whole
Trust
purpose
the
of
science.
science is that it's never settled. Science will never be fully settled. Can we agree on that?
If science was settled, Pluto would still be a major planet.
It would be.
Except one part of science, I do have to say. There are people with XX chromosomes, and there are people with XY chromosomes.
That's a whole other episode.
Yes.
It's cellular.
You thought that was another episode, I promise. She's just setting me up. Setting me up.
And
speaking of which, I'm going to let you take your next piece here. You have, do you still want to go over your legislative expense accounts?
Well, yeah, let me preface it, though, before you put it up. Now, when we are talking about these candidates and stuff, we are deciding who's going to hold those positions. And we all know that those positions do come with salaries, okay? All of these elected positions do come with salaries. Or at least, all of the ones on here, except there's precinct committee people, which don't come with salaries. But we haven't been covering those. As for like the U.S. House and U.S. Senate, we all know that they get a salary. Okay, for the House, I know when I was running, it was $174,000 a year. I think it may have gone up to $175,000. But aside from their salary, there's also additional money that they get. Now, it's not cash handed to them in their salary, their paycheck, or whatever. It's actually considered basically an expense account, is what it's referred to as. And if you want to pull it up, because I know people get upset. Why am I spending $175,000 a year for this person? Oh, you're not. So here's what it was from 2019. The U.S. House, for each member, aside from salary, this is not counting their salaries. They were getting $1.3 to almost $1.5 million per person.
Wow.
To pay for all their expenses, to pay for their staff, to pay for their office supplies, the office space, all of this travel expenses, all of that. So their salary is above and beyond this. Now, mind you, it used to be significantly lower. It was under $1 million per person. And then in 2017, like we were talking about earlier, when Steve Scalise was shot on the baseball field, Congress realized, okay, members of Congress all need security, so we're going to give them additional money in these expense accounts to provide security. So that got bumped up, and then, of course, it's gone up every year since, and now it's sitting at 1.3 to almost 1.5, with the average of $1,382,329, which provides a total for all members of Congress. If we use the average figure, it comes to over $601 million.
Wow.
That's not counting salary. That's just the expense accounts. And then in 2020 for the Senate, again, not counting salaries, I can't stress that enough, the low end is almost $1.8 million for a state, or a senator that's representing a state with less than 5 million, and then it goes up. And the highest amount is almost $4.4 million for a senator that's representing a state with a population of 28 million or more. Now, just using the lowest total, multiply that by 50 states. So this is the absolute lowest. It's not even an average. Almost $280 million. And then if you add that total with the House average total, you are at $808 million. That basically, because we know that the Senate is going to be higher in some of those. So you can almost bump that up to $1 billion. Wow. And that's not counting their salaries. And that is part.
Yeah, you can add another $96 million for salaries.
Yeah. So we are definitely over $1 billion just to have these 535 people sitting in Washington, hopefully solving problems. But I don't know about you, but I'm not. I've been out of high school for quite a while, a couple of decades. And when I graduated, they were talking about the things like dumbing down of education, the porous southern border, the healthcare crisis, all this stuff. Guess what? They're still talking about it. None of these crises have been solved. And this is what we're spending for failure. Mm-hmm. So make sure that when you are voting and you're researching these candidates, you're finding someone who's going to be worth what they're making and what they're getting. Because this is your money, not theirs. It's not the government. The government has no money. It only has your money. So we need to make sure we are putting the best people in there that, and these expense accounts are needed. Honestly, they are. Ben and I actually had this discussion. They're needed because you need to have an office in DC and in your district. And if you're a state legislator, you need an expense account to have your office in Springfield.
You got to pay
plus
for
in your district.
a rent
all this
of some
stuff.
sort if you're going to stay there for.
Right.
There's things necessary.
Well, that comes out of your pay.
Your rent comes out of your pay.
Part of the thing with their salary being as high as it is they do have to maintain two separate houses.
Right.
Or, an apartment and their house,
Sure.
Right. But, so there is a need for these expense accounts. And I'm not really all that upset with it. What I'm upset with is paying this much and getting no results.
Mm-hmm.
For this amount of money, we need results.
Right.
So we need to make sure we're getting the best people out there. So research your candidates, help them get over the finish line, get out there and contact them. Trust me, they need more volunteers.
Yeah. Wow.
This is real. This is real. This is your money.
Right. Well, that's shocking. What do we have for action for people this week? What's homework for everyone? Do you have any suggestions?
My biggest is sign up to be an election judge for the primary.
Okay. Still on the list.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Poll watchers. We need eyes on every voting location.
I may be signing up to do that myself.
And then contact these candidates. Definitely research these candidates and find out who you like and who you want, so you're picking the best candidate. This is not a popularity contest. I just showed you the money. These are people, you're not picking your friend. You're picking the best person to manage that money.
Right.
That has
and
the best policies.
maybe reduce that money if you get the right person in office that actually isn't trying to do this as a career politician.
Yes. So research the candidates, their policies, what they want to do, how they want to represent you, and figure out which one represents you best.
Right.
So that we can get those people across the finish line and hopefully I'm not just hopefully, I really think we have the ability to take back Illinois.
Awesome.
If we don't have it now, if we don't have that option now, with as bad as it is,
right,
I don't think we'll ever have this again.
Hey, Ben, I'm going to take your presentation and put it on the website for people. I think each one of these shows, I'm still working on building a proper format for each show having its own page, but that will be a resource. If anybody wants it, I'm sure you can just email Ben or email us at rebuildillinois at gmail.
Hey, put it out there as a PDF, though.
Okay, you got it. Yeah, and it will be on our website eventually at rebuildillinois.org.
Yeah.
If you
I have too much work to let somebody take it and use it for their own.
No, PDFs only. And also, we have our community is still growing. I think we just broke 1,500 people, which is stunning to me. You can join us if you want on Telegram at Rebuild Illinois Chat. And we do have a bunch of other links for you on our link tree that if you have a mobile device and you take it out right now, you can scan this code that just showed up over my head, and it'll take you to this link that you see. I never know which direction to point. Right here. So
Yeah.
That's I think all that we have for you guys tonight. Do you guys have anything else that you want to add at all, or are we clear
We are starting our interviews this week, and so you will see those. And keep in mind, they may not be in a show, but we will definitely publish them for you to be able to view these candidates.
Coming up.
They're going to be friendly. Okay, we're using the same questions for every candidate. We're not trying to catch them in off guard or anything. We're just trying to help you get to know them and let you know where they stand on the issues that we know that you care about.
We want an informed voting populace. So really, it's going to be very crucial that you start sharing the word about us. Make sure to take these links. Make sure to grab all this information that we're making available here and share that. We want to grow this community. I'd love to see this community double before the election hits, and if not larger. But that would be a nice goal. Let's see if we can hit 3,000 people on Telegram and maybe get the Facebook moving a little further. But we have, I think we're maybe like 30 away from having some other, like we're rebuilding our YouTube now because we still have other issues with that, with our prior channel. So guys, thank you so much for being with us. It's been fun. It's been educational.
Always.
And, thank you for the kitten picture.
Yes.
Appreciate you, man.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. We'll send you guys off, and thanks for watching. We'll talk to you all very soon. Next week, Sunday, 7 o'clock, we'll still be here.
Alive and well, I'm wide awake. Won't take your brand, I'm not your slave. You serve your God, Lord of the flies. I pity you and you me mine. Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes. Your bloody mouth unsatisfied. God sees the trap you set for me. He'll not be mocked, I will be free. We will not bend, we will not break. How dare you touch what God gave? We'll never give in, never give up, never back down, never surrender, never surrender. Your fear will not make me behave. I won't march in your masked parade. Your hollow threats won't shut me up. I won't bow down, enough's enough. You say you'll give us what we need, as if you own the air we breathe. Stand up 100 million strong. Thought we'd lie down, well you thought wrong. We will not bend, we will not break. How dare you touch what God gave? We'll never give in, never give up, never back down, never surrender, never surrender. I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Just keep going, keep on going. Jesus with me every step. Just keep going, keep on going. Walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Just keep going, keep on going. Jesus closer than my breath. Just keep going, keep on going. We will not bend, we will not break. How dare you touch what God gave? We'll never give in, never give up, never back down,